All right, same rules, same bankroll goals, and strict session structure. Now we're continuing Daniel 7 into part 2. All right, the first player up has got a $40,000 bankroll. He's going to be using $100 chips. His goal is 25%, which is $10,000. However, he will reevaluate at 10%, which is $4,000. Let's go ahead and place the bets. Okay, let's go ahead and spin. That's a 3 red. That's a loss. So we're going to rebet, double. We're going to add 100. Spin. That's a 21 red. That is a win. All right, that's a $1,500 win. Back to base of 700. And spin. That's a 24 black. That's a win. Rebet and spin. So 23 red. That's a win. Rebet and spin. That's a 31 black. That's a win. Rebet and spin. That's a 7 red. That's a win. Rebet and spin. That's a 0. That's a loss. Rebet, spin. 19 red. All right, that's another win. Rebet. That's a 10 black. It's a loss. So we're going to rebet, double, and we're not going to forget to double this time and add the 100. And spin. $2,100 on the line. That's a 13 black. All right, that's a loss. So we're going to rebet. We're going to double again. We're going to put $100 on each. And spin. That's a 4 black. All right, that's a win. We can go back to base. All right, let's go ahead and spin. 1,000, then we can reevaluate. That's a 1, that's a loss. Rebet, double. Let's add 100. Spin. That's a 0. That's not good. All right. We're down to $500 profit. That's a 7 red. That's a win. All right. We got 3,500. We're up 4,000. Clear all those out. And we're just going to rebet the same minimum bet until we lose. Hopefully, we will make the 10,000. We got 4,000. That's a 25 red. That's a win. So we're just going to keep taking wins until we lose. And this will be it. That's 25 red. That's another win. Rebet and spin. That's an 11 black. All right, that's a loss. So that's it. That's it for this player. He walked away with 4,300. Okay, the next player is going to have $10,000 bankroll. He's going to be going with $25 units, and he's got a $10,000 bankroll. His goal is 25%, is 2,500. However, he will reevaluate at 1,000. So let's go ahead and place the bets. Still the longest since it's hit. So let's go ahead and spin. It's not, I'm sorry, I thought I saw it. 8. Okay, that's a 8 black. That's a win. Go ahead and spin. We're at $125 profit. Now that's a 3. That is a loss. So we're going to rebet. And we're going to double. And we're going to add another $25 to each. And spin. Looking to get to 1,000. That's a 36 red. That's a loss, I believe. It is. So we're going to rebet. We're going to double. We're going to put 25 on each. Plenty of money in the bankroll. So let's go ahead and spin. That's a 5 red. That's a win, I believe. It is. So now we're going to go back to base. 13, 14, 15. And let's go ahead and spin. 1,000 so we can play it out. That's a 30 red. That's a win. We'll take that win. rebet and spin. That's a 12. That's a loss, I believe it is. So we're going to rebet. We're going to double. We're going to put 25 on each. Spin. We're going to get to 1,000. That's a 20. I believe that's a win. It is. Go back down to base, which is 175. And spin. That's an 18 red. That is another win. Okay, we're going to take that and we're going to rebet and we're going to spin 1,000. 2, that is a loss. So we're going to go ahead and rebet, double it, and add 25 to each and spin. So 21 red. That's a win. All right, so that's 375. So we're just going to rebet. We're going to take it back to base. Okay, and spin. All right, so we're up 950 now. One more hit, and we will be in profit where we don't have to worry about losing, and we got the win. All right, now we are not going to lose any money. We're guaranteed not to lose any money, but we're just going to rebet, and we're going to just play the minimum bet until we lose. That is a 5 red. That's a win, I believe. It is. So we're going to rebet and spin. That's a 9 red. All right, that's another win. So we're going to rebet and spin. We're at 1,325, looking to get to 10,000. Oh, no, sorry. Looking to get to 2,500. All right, that's a loss. We are walking away with our $1,150 win. Okay, the next player will be using $10 units. They will have a bankroll of $4,000. They are looking to make it to 1,000, and they will reevaluate at 400. All right, so let's go ahead and place those bets and go ahead and spin. That's an 11 black. All right, that is a loss. So we're going to rebet, double, add 10 to each, and we're going to go ahead and spin. Oh, yeah, spin. Okay. All right, and let's, we are trying to make it to 400. That's a 12 red. All right, that's another loss. So we're going to rebet, and we're going to double, and we are going to add another 10 to each. Okay, and our bankroll is $4,000. So we got plenty of room in the bankroll. So let's go ahead and spin. That's a 33 black. All right, that's a win. That's a $350 win. All right, let's go back to base. 23 and 24 and spin. Okay, we're up 70. We're looking to get to 400. That's a 35 black. I believe that's a loss. It is. So we're going to go ahead, rebet. And we are going to double. And we're going to add $10 and spin. That's a 4 black. That's a win, I believe it is. We'll go back to base and spin. That's a 22 black. It is a win. And spin. All right. So now we're up 200. We're looking to get to 400. That's a 34 red. And that is a loss. So we're going to rebet. We're going to double. And we're going to add $10 to each. And spin. All right. That's a 20 black. That's a win. The base of 70. And spin. That's a 5 red. All right, that's a $50 win. So let's rebet and spin. We're at 330 now. We just need 2 more wins and we can start our base bets only. Rebet and spin. 1 more win and we can use base bets only. That's a 35 black. That is a loss though. So we're going to rebet and we're going to double. And we're going to add 10 to each and spin. That's a 0. That's a loss. So So we're going to rebet. We're going to double. Still got plenty of money in the bankroll, and we're going to add 10 to each. And spin. We'll be ahead. That's a 32 red. That's a win. $350 win. Now we're up $450. Now we're going to go back to base, and we're going to stay at base. And we're going to try to make it to $1,000 just on base bets. If we lose one time, we cut it off and we're golden. Stick with that, and let's go ahead and spin. We're just playing with base bets now. We're not going to do anything else. And that's a $10. 10, that's a loss. So we're going to call it a day. We got $380 profit. Next player will be using $5 units. They are going to have a $2,000 bankroll. They're looking to get to $500 as a goal. However, if they make it to $200, they will be happy with the $200, and then they will start going to base bets only when they reach $200. So let's go ahead and place them bets. All right, so let's go ahead and spin. That's a 28 black. That is a win. So we're gonna rebet and spin. We're trying to make a goal of $200. So that's another win. So we're gonna rebet and spin. That's a 27 red. All right, that's another win. Rebet and spin. That's a 6 black. That's a win, I believe. It is. So we're just gonna keep going up. We'll be happy if we get 100. We get to 200 with just $5, just like this. 19. All right, that's another win. Rebet and spin. All right, we're almost there. We just need 3 more wins. All right, that's a 5. That is another win. All right. Rebet. And wouldn't you love it if it just came together and this is how it went? But it doesn't always happen because this is roulette. All right, that's a first loss. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to rebet. We're going to double that. We're going to add $5 to each. We're going to go ahead and spin. $115. We're up $115 now. That's a 7. That is a win. That's a good $75 win. So we're just going to back to base. All right. And let's go ahead and spin. We're at 190. We just need 1 win and we'll be at our 200. There it is. 25 red. That's a win. So we're going to change it on the next player. Oh no. We're just going to play this out until we lose. And now the longest since it's hit, I'm going to go with the 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're just going to go with that because there's 3 that longest since it's hit that we show. So let's go ahead and spin. We're only playing base bet at this level. And that's it. We're going to go just till we lose. That's a 16 red. That's a win, I believe. It is. So we're just going to rebet and spin. All right, and that's $240 now. That's a 4 black. I believe that's a win. That's a great win. All right, and then we're going to rebet and spin. So let's just see how far we can take this. Let's try to take it to 400. That's a 33. That is a win. Yeah, so we're looking at actually 500. Okay, so let's see if we can get this to 500 with just base bets. Do not increase your bets once you make that 5% goal or 10% goal. All right, and that's another win. So we're going to rebet and spin. If you want to play more safe, you can go with a 5% goal. And so on and so forth. And even if you want to be really, really safe, you can go with a 1% gain. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see what just happened because I missed it. We lost. Okay, so that's it. So we're going to go home with $280 for player number 4. Okay, now the last player, he's going to be playing with $1 units, and he's going to have a $400 bankroll. He's going to go for a $100 goal. However, he's going to start playing a minimum bet only at $40. So let's go ahead and place the bets. And we're going to keep the bets the same. Coming out yet. All right, let's go ahead and spin. It's a $7 total bet. It's a 14 red. All right, that's a loss right off the gate. All right, so that's we're just going to double it. And we're going to add $1. And spin. All right, we got a $21 bet out there. We do have a $400 bankroll. That's a 28 black. We won. All right, so now we're going to rebet. And we're going to clear out, and we're going back to base of $7. And spin. We're up $8 now. We're looking to get to 40. That's a 16 red. All right, that's a win. That's a $5 win, so we're going to rebet and spin. All right, we're just looking to get to $40. That's a 35 black. That's a loss. Okay, so we're going to rebet. We're going to double, and we're going to add $1 to each. And we're going to go ahead and spin. That's a 19 red. I believe that's a win. It is. All right, so we're going to go back to base. $7. And we're just looking to get to $40. That's a 32 red for now. We are trying to get to the ultimate goal is 100. But that's a win, so we're going to rebet and spin. The ultimate goal is 100, but we have to do it from original, just the minimum bet after we reach $40, which is 10%. 2 more wins, and we should have it. That's a 15 black. I think that's a loss. It is. So we're going to go ahead and rebet. We're going to double, and we're going to add $1 to each. And spin. All right, we got 24. We win his. We'll get 15, I believe, but that's a loss. All right, so we're going to rebet. We're going to double. And we're going to add another $1. Okay, and after we add the $1, we got $400 in the bankroll, so we got plenty of bankroll. So let's go ahead and spin. That's a 32 red. That's a win, I believe. It is. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go back to base. So we're going to play $1, $1, $1, and I believe that this is going to. I don't think we have to. We're at 38. Man, we're $2 short, so we need a win. 24 black. All right, that's a loss though. So we're gonna rebet, and we're gonna double, and we're gonna add $1. And spin. That's an 8 black. I believe that's a win. It is. That's a $15 win. We should be at our profit of 40. I believe. And we do not have to, we will not have to increase the bet at all anymore. Now we just go on base bets and try to get as many base bets as we can, and hopefully get them up to $100. But we ain't there yet. rebet and spin. All right, we did get a win. That's good. That's a 2 black. That is a win, actually, because I forgot we changed that. Okay, so now we can rebet, and we can take away that one. And the longest one since this hit now is 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12. 10, 11, 12 is up there. 13, 14, and 15 is not. Okay, 22, 23, 24. 24 is there. 25, 26, 27. All right, let's go with 25, 26, and 27 then. All right, and spin. All right, hopefully we picked the right one. All right, and let's go ahead and spin, and that's a 35 black. That is a loss. So that is it for us today. All right, so clear that. All right, so they made $49. Not bad for staying disciplined. All right, they almost made $50. $49. That's okay. You went home a winner. All right. So let's just go ahead and recap this whole thing. The first player, he went home with $4,300 on $100 units. The second player, with $25 units, he went home with $1,150. And the third player, he went home with $380 on $10 units. And the fourth player went home with $280, and that was on $5 units. And the final player on dollar units went home with $49. All right, everybody won. Everybody went home a profit. That is the name of the game. Go home with a profit. Stay disciplined. Make sure once you hit 10% of your bankroll, you stick to the minimum bet only until you lose. And that is how you make money at the casino. All right, well, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another roulette spin. Thank you, and you guys have a fabulous rest of your week. And Easter. It's Easter. Happy Easter.